This is just insane. This car company, this Japanese car company, they say that Australians are only buying EVs because they're being forced to by the government. That Australians don't want an EV. There's no place for a new EV, and they're going to bring a new EV to market. They're basically saying, don't buy our EV. It's a compliance car. You wouldn't want it. Truly, truly bizarre. You've got to hear what this guy has to say. I mean, this is the general manager. One of the bosses of the Japanese car brand Suzuki has come out firing, saying the Australian market doesn't want electric cars. I just don't think the Australian market wants an EV, said the Australian boss of Suzuki. Is this actually true? I mean, do the actual numbers back up these claims? Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. Great to have you with us. First of all, it's pretty clear. The Tesla Model Y, I mean, it was for a few months last year, for a few months this year, the best-selling passenger car in Australia. That's a fact. Maybe Suzuki are pretending that that car doesn't exist. Or maybe they're pretending that all the other EVs being sold in Australia don't exist. Or maybe the fact that EV sales just hit a new record last month in Australia. Maybe they're pretending or didn't realize that happened. Suzuki is apparently, they say, being unfairly punished by the government in Australia and the governments elsewhere by their new emissions laws, and Australians are being forced into EVs as a result, he says. Forced. So, the 90% of Australians who didn't buy an EV last month weren't forced, but the 10% that did buy one, according to Suzuki, were forced to do so. This is the claim made by the general manager of Suzuki in Australia, and he was speaking at the Queensland reveal of Suzuki's new Fronx hybrid small SUV, which is a bucket of junk. Paul Dillon said the Japanese brand, which currently has no EVs or plug-in hybrids in its Australian lineup or in most of its lineups worldwide, will be paying fines due to the new vehicle efficiency standards, despite its range being made up of small, lightweight, and relatively low emissions vehicles. Now, is this even true? Are their vehicles even efficient? Well, not that I'm aware of. The NVES regulation has been designed to encourage manufacturers to offer and sell a greater number of low-emission vehicles like EVs and plug-in hybrids, but they don't have any of those. Brands face financial penalties if emissions targets aren't met. To be honest, emissions targets aren't particularly restrictive. It's actually not that difficult to meet them. Suzuki's renowned, well, they are renowned for their affordable, simple, small-engine, compact cars and SUVs, says evcentral.com.au, and they went on to say that they're typically quite fuel-efficient and not very CO2 polluting due to their size, their small cars. But they have no performance models. To be honest, their cars are incredibly anemic when it comes to power. A lot of their customers complain their cars are underpowered. And the truth is, it's true that they don't have any big pickup trucks or any V8s or anything like that. Most would consider a Suzuki to be a reasonably efficient car, Dillon said. But consider in 2026 there will be penalties on cars like the Fronx hybrid. He suggested next year's NVES penalties for each Fronx sold would be north of $500. Now, personally for me, the Fronx hybrid, I read car websites every day without fail, every single day. Get up in the morning, bang, that's all I do. I've never even heard of the Fronx hybrid. Does anyone even care about this car? They're going to sell more than 20 of these things. I mean, maybe, but I can't be many, surely. Lighter vehicles, a Suzuki trait, says EV Central, have stricter CO2 emissions targets before fines kicked in. Our CO2 target is lower because the car is lighter, so penalties are different, said Dillon. It's not fair, rah, 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 whine. We build a lighter car, it meets the headline CO2 target, but then we've got to go better because it's lighter. If we added, say, 300 kilos to our car, we might be better off with an emissions target. It doesn't make sense. Now, the irony about all of this, guys, is that Suzuki is saying Australians, well, directly, this general manager says, Australians don't want an EV. Here we go. Here's the direct quote. I just don't think the Australian market wants an EV, but we're being forced on it with NVES. So we haven't got much choice, have we? Certainly if you go up to North Queensland, nobody's much interested at all. And a lot of dealers we talk to won't trade an electric car, period. Guys, I was just in Noosa. That's exactly what he's talking about. And that's, well, they had one of the biggest EV shows in Australia in Noosa, and there was thousands of people there. Noosa's not a big place. Thousands of people rocked up to this EV show in Noosa. And there was EVs everywhere, not just at the show. So I suggest that actually people do want EVs. And I would also suggest to Suzuki, if you're going to be bringing out an EV next year, which they are, and I think it's actually not a bad EV, it's not a good idea to tell people they don't want it before it comes to market. Basically, Suzuki's saying, no one wants our EV, so they're sort of setting themselves up for failure. It's like, oh yeah, we told you no one would buy it, it didn't sell. Yeah, we knew this would happen. We predicted this would happen. But often when you predict you're going to lose a race, you just lose. If you predict you're going to lose an event, or you predict you're going to give a public speech, you predict you're going to suck, you suck. But if you predict you're going to do well, you've got a much better chance of doing well. I think if you're the general manager of a company, you should know this. If you're the general manager of a company, maybe don't tear into people. Be positive about your new EV that's coming out to the market. I mean, of the Australians who buy an EV, don't tell them that they're brainwashed idiots who just bought it because they were forced to by the Australian government. That's probably not a smart move to make. That's my opinion. Guys, what are your thoughts on all this? I'm just sitting here thinking, what a dipshit. But anyway, do you guys agree? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. The Suzuki Vitara EV, it's just been revealed, and it's okay. It's not too bad. It's basically made by Toyota, who obviously owns Suzuki. It has lithium iron phosphate batteries. Not a whole lot of range, but this could be a decent car. Here are the details of the new Suzuki Vitara, which I believe will also span a Toyota version of the same vehicle. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. Great to have you with us. The Sydney EV show. It's on this weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'll be there all 3 days. We'd love to see you there. I'll put a link in the description for free tickets and a promotion code. You can use that to get yourself free tickets. It's going to be fantastic. Can't wait. Suzuki Vitara. All right. What are the details here? Well, unfortunately, it's not coming until 2026. So, yeah, it's still a fair way away. Probably a year and a half away. Some of the parts in the car you can see have been taken directly from the Toyota BZ4X, but it's not a similar size to the Toyota BZ4X. It's much, much smaller. It's actually a more similar size to the MG4. So the MG4 hatchback, it's similar in size to that vehicle. Now, it's a fair bit bigger than the existing Suzuki Vitara. It's not only a bit longer, about 20 millimeters longer, but because it has a shorter bonnet, and it has shorter overhangs, it actually has a lot more interior space. Still not a big car though. I mean, it's a relatively small car, obviously. Similar in size actually to the Volvo EX30. Very similar in size to that. Boot space, 306 litres. So yeah, a small boot. Not going to get a lot in a 306 litre boot, but that is still a bigger boot than a Toyota Corolla. The Toyota Corolla's boot is about 260 litres in size, but I mean, to give you some context, very, very small. Tesla Model Y boot, for example, is close to 800 litres. Xpeng G6 boot space is around 570 litres. The new Zeekr 7X boot space, that is around about 620 litres. So that gives you some context on here, the size of different vehicles. BYD Atto 3 is a bit bigger than this vehicle, about 10% bigger. That kind of sorts things out. So what do we know about this vehicle? Well, there's a few different options in terms of motors. There's also front wheel drive and all wheel drive. There's two different battery pack options. So let's get straight to what the options are. But first, the actual official size is 4,275 millimeters long and 1,800 millimeters wide. So the front wheel drive model of this vehicle has a 106 kilowatt motor. So that's about 130 horsepower and 189 newton meters of torque. I think that's extremely underpowered. This is not a light car. This car weighs 1.8 tons.